Okay, morning everyone. Welcome to the briefing on Wednesday, the 4th of January. Yeah, we seem to have a sort of weather pattern that gives us one nice day and then a couple of days of strong winds and varying amounts of rain. So yesterday was fairly horrible. Today we're in the sort of really quite strong southwesterly winds. As you can see, the spacing on the isobars here is quite tight and the pressure has dropped a bit from yesterday. So this cold front went through properly, I suppose, a little bit earlier, a solid band of rain, but there are little lines of rain going through today. And you can guess from the tightness of the isobars how strong the wind gets during the day and certainly with height. The TAFs, quite short actually, considering the sort of weather pattern we've got between 9 and 18, 230, 15 knots. Well, it is generally about 15 knots now, and they're giving scattered at 2.5. I think that's perhaps later and very optimistic. Top Meteo suggesting above Lasham 1,500 to 2,000 feet. Sky sight about the same. And this is the important one. Prob 30 today, basically from 9 o'clock onwards. 15 gusting 28. There's been a 28 knot gust already this morning. It's fairly breezy. And they're also suggesting 230 degrees. It seems to be a little bit more westerly than that just at the moment, but it might swing back a little bit more southwesterly. Gatwick's TAF a little bit longer, but it covers overnight, and it still gives the same thing, 18 gusting 28. So windy, but the wind drops off overnight with temporarily some rain. Upper winds, as you can guess, if it's sort of 15 gusting 27, 28, the upper winds are going to be fairly strong. So down in the channel, 40, 45 knots, middle of the country, 35 to 45. So yeah, it's going to be at least 35 knots. And all the forecasts I've looked at, Sky Sight and Top Meteo, suggest 35 to 40 knots at flying heights. So pretty windy. Satellite picture doesn't really show very much, apart from lots of cloud in this area here. Various little sort of slightly brighter white bits are the elements of rain. There's a band of rain that's gone through here earlier, and you've just got showers. They'll be developing off the Bristol Channel, this area here, and then coming across us. And it might dry out, might actually be unlucky and catch one. This is the frontal system, I think, that it showed on the chart. But you can see their direction of travel is a little bit more westerly, really, rather than coming up this way from the southwest. Temperature-wise, it's not going to feel warm out there in that breeze. It says 12, 13 degrees here. It's going to be a bit cooler than that, I think. More like about 9, 10. And when you're stood out in it today. And Top Meteo will run through what I think is going to happen. This is the 30-foot gust prediction. The greens are up over 30. And as you can see, the greens and then the yellow bits. It's always a little bit on the high side, this, but it shows that for most of the day, gusts around 30 knots. And then dropping off, this is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, dropping off back down to sort of 20 knots in the afternoon. Cloud amounts, 10 o'clock. Shows really what we have now, the sort of 500,000 foot cloud base, lower cloud, drifting in and out. And then as the day goes on, it brightens up a bit, but they are forecasting showers. And Top Meteo's always been a little bit let's say optimistic with the amount of shower activity. It always seems to overplay it. Slightly, they are showing shower activity and the chance of rain around us all day. chance of an odd shower, catch one. The big feature of today really is the strength of the wind and the cloud base. At the moment, doesn't look flyable, but it might get flyable a little bit later. So if we do fly airspace wise, not a lot. This is the same. It just seems like a repeat of the same picture yesterday, the day before, the day before that. Nothing in this area here in terms of airspace. These two are completely irrelevant to us. So quiet on the airspace front. And just a quick chat about operations. We'll obviously take a view on what runway we go on, depending on when we get out there and see which way the wind's going. If it's 27, then the launch point will be here. Cables will be on the south side, the winch down here somewhere, and it'll be landing on the runway. So if we are operating that way, circuits to the left, you either land on the grass to the left of the runway or land on the runway itself, and circuits to the right, you land on grass north side. Fairly standard setup to avoid mirrored circuits to the same landing area. And if you land one side or the other of the center line and just roll to within 50 to 100 meters of the launch point, don't roll right up, just don't rely on the wheel brake. The grass is going to be soggy here and down on the edge by the perimeter track here, as it has rained an awful lot in the last couple of days. If we think it's not an option because there's too much south in the wind, remember, if you were launching on 27, you will have to correct to the left. Otherwise, you run the risk of putting a weak link or a cable down in this area here. We'll have to think about the 2-3 option. And again, that'll be launching off the tarmac this way, and probably if it's a left-hand circuit landing on the runway, there's a right-hand circuit landing in the direction of 2-3. But we'll see when we get out there, and we'll brief everybody. I don't suspect there's going to be suitable for getting baby grobs or K13s out. I think it's just going to be a bit too sporting for those. It's going to be probably to start off with K21s only. But I would have another cup of tea and we'll decide when it actually gets a little bit better. Other things to note today, 2 jet movements. They were scheduled for yesterday, but obviously postponed because of the grotty weather. Airbus 319 in at 10 o'clock. Don't honestly think that one's going to happen. That's, I think, coming from Gatwick, and there's an A319 coming at 13:40. That one's coming from a bit further away, so they'll be a bit more flexible on that time. So depending on the weather, potentially 2 inbound jet movements. Okay, folks, have another cup of tea, and we'll make a decision fairly shortly on when and if we go out.